Good morning and welcome to another Monday Minutes with Kelly and Jesse. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jessie, and this week we have a very special guest with us from the Central Kansas Library System. Maribeth, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great.
Exciting. So Maribeth is joining us today for our Monday Minutes to talk about GDPR. And Kelly, tell us what that is.
GDPR stands for the General Data Protection Regulation, which started and is primarily being used in the European countries. It is slowly evolving over to the United States. However, since COHA is used around the world, in 1811, COHA started with a new system preference that allowed libraries to tell patrons how they were using their data and if they consented to this. So that started in 1811.
Perfect. So now in 1905, now that our libraries are getting ready to upgrade, why don't we go through the process of how we show them this in the system?
Yeah. We had a lot of questions during a webinar, which prompted us to invite Maribeth because she offered that she had been using it in 1811. And in 1905, GDPR has gone to the next stage. What to do with those patrons that don't consent to having their information stored by the library in essence. So yeah, let's pop over to admin and start with those system preferences.
Okay.
Perfect. Pretty much just put in GDPR and you've got it. Okay.
Perfect.
So the first one, which was in 1811, GDPR policy to set as disabled, enforced, or permissive. There you go.
What does permissive do?
Permissive, it's going to show the alert, but it doesn't make you agree or don't agree. It's there. You can opt in at that point, but if you don't have to. Okay. If you it is enforced, the patron has to choose to move on in the OPAC.
Okay. All right. So should we set it to enforce so we can show people how this looks?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now our second one.
The second one. So you want to, as a library, let your patrons know how you're using their private information. Mm-hmm. So this will allow you to use a URL to show the patrons what you're doing with their information. So this is where you're going to put maybe where your policies are for your library system. And you would need to make sure they have that so then they can click over to that and find out what the library is actually doing with the data.
Perfect.
So we put Bywater Solutions just to put something in there. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll pop over to the
OPAC.
Yep.
And let's do a quick login. And here we are. So since this is the first time I'm logging in and I have not consent to it and it is enforced, you'll notice that it's taken me right to your consents. It's a new tab that will show up right below your personal details in the OPAC.
So if this was set to permissive, Jesse, you would not see this yellow box, but your consent would be over on the left. But since it's set to enforced, the minute you log in, it's going to appear. If you hit do not agree, then you cannot log into your account, in essence.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yep, and that privacy policy will link out to that URL that you provided, and it is stored.
Excellent.
So let's pop over and ask Maribeth some questions, don't you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Maribeth, what prompted your library system to start using this?
We had a user agreement that we sent out to all our consortial libraries. We have 54 public libraries and 2 school districts. Mm-hmm. And we have them do a user agreement saying we're going to follow the rules of Pathfinder Central, which is our COHA. And then we also have each staff member sign a privacy agreement saying that they were going to take patron confidentiality and privacy seriously. And so we were already at those steps when the GDPR came out. And when we upgraded to 1811 and that feature was there, we were kind of halfway there already. And as intellectual freedom fighters, as we like to call, we do a lot of continuing education and promoting intellectual freedom. This is a step that we naturally just kind of fell into. And so Margie Shepard, who is really the instigator here, She's the one that got it all forward and turned on the feature and set it all up for us when we upgraded to 1811 in June of this year.
Great, great. How has the public given them, what kind of feeling has the public given you since starting this process?
We've only had one librarian report a patron coming forward with an issue about it. The librarian had already been trained on it, had a script to kind of a 2-minute elevator speech kind of thing, had the script in the language to address the issue. And they were able to explain why they're doing it. And I believe that the patron was okay after he understood what was going on. But I think that warning message kind of alarms some people, and they don't want to agree to anything they don't understand. And so that's, with that elevator speech, we were able to really explain what we were doing, and I think that's helped a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. After our webinar, it was apparent that this was still such a new concept for libraries, that the education of just what it is to talk to your patrons about it if you want to go forward, is the more knowledge that you yourself have will definitely put your patrons at ease also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, perfect. Now, Maribeth, with the changes in 1905, will you be using those additional system preferences to actually go to that next step?
Of deleting the account?
Yes.
We talked about it, and we have a little bit of training on our libraries. A lot of our libraries haven't really promoted the patron side, so not a lot of our patrons are placing their own holds, renewing their own items. They usually call in to do that kind of thing.
Okay.
So right now, they're not using the patron side, so it hasn't really been an issue. If they do check no, what we've actually opted to do is remove them access from the patron side, but keep their patron account. We've set up the default settings so that circulation history is not kept automatically. Okay. So we really have limited information about them anyway. If they do choose to remove their account, we would do that, but we want to kind of make sure that they actually realize checking no. If they want us to remove the account, we want them to come in and tell us to remove their account.
Yeah, to just jump right into deleting everything seems a little bit harsh. We're that educating the public on what this is and saying, well, this is for your own information, what we're doing with your data.
Yeah, we want them to be aware that we do have data about you, but we're being very protective of it. This is what we're keeping, this is what we're not.
Right.
And I think that really helps. And I think that the ones that opt not to say no, if they're that serious, they may come in and say, no, I don't want a library account at all. But many may just make sure that the circulation history is turned off.
Got it. Got it.
Excellent.
Lastly, what would be any advice you have to libraries looking at using this GDPR?
We had already done some background training, but I think training really is key in trying to be as transparent with all our libraries as possible. This is why we're doing this. Yes, European countries have already promoted it. It's not required here in the US yet, but we're already, intellectual freedom fighters. We're already protecting our patrons' privacy. Let's be upfront and forward with our patrons about it. So we made sure that was training, and we had the language already developed when we told our libraries about it. And then we created our privacy policy by looking what was already out there, copying and borrowing what we liked, and then customizing it for our 54 public libraries in our 2 school districts so that it fit what we need.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, and I think that just having that 2-minute elevator speech for your staff is really important to arm them with the information for the patrons that do have questions is important. So that's great. Great. Good job. Way to go.
Yay.
And I forget who started this at your library. She's retired, right?
Margie Shepard, she was our Koha manager, and she's left us for another job, but she was here until a month ago, and she's the one that really spearheaded it.
Okay. Well, great job for both of you for continuing this.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Any final thoughts, concerns, questions, Jessie?
No, I just think this is really great. Privacy is a big topic of conversation throughout the entire Koha community, and it's so important that we can share different aspects of what our libraries are doing. So, Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining us on Monday Minutes to share what your library has done. So, if there are other libraries out there that want to start this process, they have a good background of what worked for you all and some tips on what they can do to get it started.
Yeah,
I'm happy to share. Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you so much, Mary Beth. This was amazing. And welcome to Monday Minutes. You're our first partner.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay!
All right.
Have
Well,
a great week, Jesse.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you to everyone out there, and we'll see you for next week's Monday Minutes.